Okay, so we've gotten to the end of chapter 1, and this last lesson is just more of a general knowledge lesson on some formulas. So it's understanding perimeter, circumference, and area. So we're going to find the perimeter or circumference of shapes, which means the distance around a shape, and then to find the area of basic shapes, which is the two-dimensional space that a shape takes up. So the four most basic types of shapes we're going to look at are squares, triangles, rectangles, and circles. So for a square, the perimeter of a square is just us adding up all of the side lengths of the square. And since all four side lengths of a square are the same, the shortcut is to take 4 times the side length. Okay, 4 times the side length is the perimeter of a square. The area of a square is like a rectangle is length times width. The area of a square is just the side length times itself. So the side length squared, because the length and the width are exactly the same. Now in a rectangle, perimeter is a little bit different because 2 of the side lengths are the same, the other 2 are the same length. So the perimeter of a square would be base plus height plus height, or base and width, or length and width, however you want to think of it. But perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times one side plus 2 times the other side. Okay, 2 times one side plus 2 times the other side. That's the perimeter of a rectangle. In a rectangle, length times width, base times height, whatever you want to call it, but it's the 2 side lengths here times each other. So squares and rectangles are very similar. They have a lot of the same properties. Their formulas differ a little bit. For a triangle, perimeter is just, you have to know all 3 sides. You add together all 3 sides, lengths, to get the perimeter of a triangle. The area of a triangle is a little more tricky. It's 1/2 times the base times the height. Now, it's important to know that A and C are not the base or the height. The base and the height are one side is the base, all right? And we'll get some practice on finding the base. And the height is the perpendicular height, okay? It's perpendicular to one side, and it goes to one vertex of that triangle. And we'll get some practice picking out the base and the height. That's the biggest thing. And then finally, circles. Circles deal with pi. We'll dive deeper into pi later on in this class. The perimeter of a circle is also the circumference of a circle, right? And the formula for that is 2 times pi times the radius. We will get into how that is what it is later on, the origins behind 2 pi times r. Okay, so it's 2 times pi times r. For area of a circle, it's pi times the radius. I'll just do pi times the radius squared. And we'll dive deeper into the origins of that later on in this class too. But for right now, these 4 formulas are what you're going to need to know. Now, for right now, I don't expect you to memorize them, but at a certain point, you're going to have to know these formulas by heart, all right? And that's going to be important later on. So I'm throwing a lot of formulas at you in the last 2 lessons. But what I really want to talk about is finding the perimeter of a rectangle first, the first example. So it says the Botany Club members are designing a rectangular garden for the courtyard of your school. They plan to place edging along the outside of the path. How much edging material will they need? Fencing costs $25 per linear foot. How much would it cost to put a fence around the whole entire walkway? So in this example, it's important to understand that this is the walkway, the outer edge. Okay, this is the walkway. So if I'm talking about length and width, I like length and width a little bit better. The length, and really it doesn't, they're interchangeable, but the length of this would be 22 plus 4 plus 4, because this is a 4-foot edge, and it's here on the top and the bottom. So the length of it would be 30 feet, okay? The width of it, 16. If this is 4 and this is 4, that'd be 16 plus 8, which would be 24 feet. So this entire, around the outside of the entire walkway and garden is 30 by 24, okay? 30 by 24. And we're finding edging, all right? So like fencing around the outside of it. So that means we're going to find the perimeter of this entire space. So I'm going to take 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So it's recognizing we're finding perimeter, and it's recognizing that this is a rectangle, so you go back to the formula and you work out the formula from there. So that would be 60 plus 48, which would be 108 feet. That's the unit for perimeter. Units for perimeter is just feet, right, for this example. And finding out how much the fencing would cost, if it's $25 per linear foot and I have 108 feet to buy, all I'd take is, for my cost, that's going to be 108 times $25 per foot. So 108 times 25, it's going to cost $2,700 to put fencing around that entire perimeter, right? So perimeter, we think of fencing, we think of the space or the length around a figure. So for at the bottom here, this is one I want you to work through. Pause the video. Check your answer when you're ready to move on. I'm not going to spend a ton of time explaining. I'm just going to flash the answer on the screen and you're going to check it, and then we can move to the next example.